I am Yana, and I have been married to my husband Ted for almost 20 years. Our first few years of marriage were full of bliss. It feels like the both of us were on cloud nine. I truly loved him, I do. He is responsible and has a great provider mindset. For me, marrying him was the best decision of my life. Although the arguments and fighting became significant catalysts of setbacks in our life, I am still grateful that we were able to surpass it all with a loving and robust heart. We have 3 children, 2 boys and a girl. I couldn't ask for any more excellent gifts in life than my lovely children. They made me whole and they put meaning into my life. They mended and filled a gap between me and my husband when there were times that we would grow apart. We were a loving family and my life was perfect, or so I thought. As years passed by and our kids were growing, so did the hatred and boredom that we felt towards each other. The constant fights became prominent and more aggressive. My husband became so intentional with his banters and insults towards me. In short, our relationship became toxic. And that is when I realized that my life with Ted had never been a fairy tale. I was just so in denial that our relationship was falling apart because it was built on shaky and weak ground to begin with. I was making things up. That we are still happy because I'm too afraid to lose him and allow my children to grow up without their father by their side. And as I assess our relationship right now, the signs of downfall are there. From the beginning, our relationship showed signs of trouble, but I held on, hoping that love would conquer all. As the years passed, though, cracks started to appear and the love we once shared turned into bitterness and hurtful words. Aside from that, my husband began to share his remarks of discontentment, boredom, frustration, and disappointment. It seemed like he was trapped with me all this time, and he wanted to get out right away. His banters were more insults than sadness. He hates me so much. It feels like he was forced to stay in the relationship and was suffering, suffocating to be exact, the whole time. And with that, I endured Ted's hate and hurtful sentiment towards me. I did all I could to maintain a hint of normalcy for the sake of our children. They were all that matters to me, and I did not want to ruin their life. One night, as I prepared for bed, my husband came in with a frustrated aura. I was shocked that he came to our bedroom when it's been 2 years since we last slept together.
Yana, why are my laundry still not in my room?
He shouted, and it startled me. I'm so sorry, honey. I was gardening earlier because the harvest season is coming up. I will do the laundry tomorrow, I promise. He snarled.
Honey, could you stop calling me that pathetic name? Just bring my goddamn laundry in, or I will drag you out of this house.
His words felt like knives attacking me right through my heart. My tears were about to fall, but I controlled it. I'm so sorry. He rolled his eyes and shouted at me again.
You know what? I'm just so tired of this relationship. It feels like we are stuck in a never-ending cycle of the same problems, and I don't know if I can keep going like this. I'm so tired just looking at your goddamn face.
I took a deep breath as my tears finally fell on my cheeks. Ted, I understand things haven't been easy lately, but we can work together. Let's talk about what's bothering you. He just laughed at me in a mocking tone.
Talk? What good will that do? I don't remember you listening anyway. You're stupid. There is no point talking to you.
I do listen, Ted. I want to understand what's bothering you and find a way to improve things. We can't just put our relationship down the drain. That is unfair to our kids. He rolled his eyes again as if everything I said had no sense.
You're always trying to fix everything, but you never actually do anything about it. Oh, I forgot. You don't have to fix everything because you are the problem itself.
It hurts me to hear him say all of these hurtful words. I'm doing my best to make this relationship work, but it takes both of us to put in the effort.
Yeah, well, your best just isn't good enough.
Please, Tell me what's making you so unhappy. I want to know so we can work on it together.
You wouldn't get it. You're too wrapped up in yourself to see how you're driving me away. And like what I have said, you're stupid. So what's the point anyway?
I love you, Ted, and I don't want to push you away. Could you help me understand what I'm doing wrong?
You're suffocating me with your constant neediness and demands. I need space, but you just don't get it.
I'll give you the space you need, Ted, but I can't ignore our problems either. We have to communicate and find a way to reconnect.
Reconnect? Is that some therapy mumbo jumbo? I'm sick of your constant analysis. As if you are helping.
I'm trying to understand your perspective, Ted. I don't want to lose you, but I can't do it alone.
Maybe I'm just tired of trying. Tired of this relationship. Tired of all your nonsense.
I can see you're frustrated, but saying hurtful things won't solve anything. My voice was starting to shake.
You know what? Maybe I'm just done with us. Perhaps it's time to move on.
Please, don't do this. Think about our children.
They're grown-ups now. Maybe I'll finally find someone who understands me.
Please, think about our children, Ted.
Yeah, whatever. Goodbye, Yana.
Don't say that. And then he left me alone. I cried the whole night. I cried as my heart swam into a river of pain. But one day, a few months after our heartbreaking encounter, he dropped the bombshell. He wanted a divorce to marry his young side chick, Annie. The pain was unbearable, but I kept my emotions in check, refusing to give him the satisfaction of seeing me break down.
It's over, Yana. I found the love of my life.
You cannot do this to us. This is unfair.
Well, you're no match for her. She is sexy, young, and very pretty. Annie is the perfect woman for me.
He left the house without trying to listen to any word from me again. Our children cried and were devastated as they witnessed our family falling apart. The next day, he sent in divorce papers with a note saying,
"Sign this paper, let me free. Being with you was like being in prison. I have been suffocating all my life. Please give me a break. I want out of your hell life."
Tears fell to my cheeks, and I could feel my heart aching as I witnessed my life's downfall. But before I could even sign the papers, my son showed me a picture of the mistress. It happened that she was my previous employee, and I technically fired her for being flirtatious around the office. I was so shocked at how the world could be this small. So I thought of a revenge plan. I sent back the divorce papers now signed to my husband. I know he wondered why I wasn't being hysterical about the divorce. I kept silent and calm throughout the entire process. Little did he know that I had already discovered the truth about Annie. I confronted her and she confessed that Ted had used her to make me jealous. For a brief moment, I believed her, clinging to the hope that Ted still cared for me in some twisted way. I was still hoping that our family would get back to normal, that our life would be switched back to what it used to be. I was even excited for him to reach out to me and make amends. And as fool as I am, I was ready to accept him back into our life with open arms. But the truth slowly unraveled before me. As I was cleaning my room, my gut urged me to open his computer. I found messages on our one messaging application. Many messages revealed Ted's affair with multiple women, not just Annie. Feeling betrayed and disgusted, I confronted Annie again, and she admitted to knowing about the other woman but had hoped Ted would choose her. You became one of my ex-husband's toys, and you will allow him to use you for what? For hurting me, a woman who's suffering? She sobbed and covered her face with her palms. He told me that he would break up with them, and I'm the one he loves. Everything that comes out from that man's mouth is either lies or insults, and you, girl, you have been completely fooled. She cried and cried until she looked up at me. He promised to me that we will go overseas and live our life as a married couple and that he will leave you and his children for good. He hated you. I hated him more. And you should hate him as well because he lied to you. He manipulated you into thinking that being a mistress is okay. You deserve more than that. She bursted into tears again, so I continued talking. Listen to me, Annie. You are a capable woman, and we both don't deserve that jerk, an asshole. Karma will find its way to him because he deserves to be punished for all the things that he did. Are you with me? She nodded in response. He will pay for this. I am so sorry for the pain that I have caused you. No, you were only a victim. This is all his fault. Let's make him pay. I smirked at her. Oh, darling, we will. In a strange twist of fate, Annie and I found solace in each other's pain. Instead of tearing each other down, we decided to team up and expose Ted for the manipulative liar he was. Together, we devised a plan to reveal his true colors to the world. When Ted confronted me about my seemingly calm reaction to the divorce, I couldn't help but smirk inwardly. With a glint of determination in my eyes, I told him, "Well, I know your lies." His audacity to even show his face in front of me is wild. I don't want to see him again. His baffled expression only fueled my resolve. He was so confused.
What do you mean?
I just laughed at him, making him wonder even more. Well, you chose to fight me, and I'm so sorry because I'm not a quitter nor a loser. You chose the wrong person, Ted. You will pay for everything. After that, I left him alone. He was dumbfounded. The divorce papers were still being processed. Together, Annie and I decided to expose his thrash and dirty ways on social media around innocent girls that he was using. So we posted screenshots of his conversations with other women. The truth spread like wildfire, and soon enough, the web of lies Ted had spun began to crumble. Ted's life unraveled before everyone's eyes. Friends, family, and acquaintances saw his true nature, and the shame and humiliation he felt were palpable. He begged for forgiveness, claiming he had made a terrible mistake and still loved me, but I had seen through his lies, and the wounds he had inflicted on my heart were too deep to mend. I stood firm, my resolve unwavering as I faced the man who had once been my husband. I refused to let him manipulate my emotions again. He went to me and pleaded for his life, a side I never thought I would see. But I'm not the Yana he used to know. I am stronger now.
Yana, I'm so sorry for everything. Could you help me get my life back? Everyone I know is drifting away from me. I can't afford to lose you as well as our children.
You should have thought about that before you decided to leave us with your mistress. You have no shame, and this embarrassment serves you well. He kept on begging me to take down the online post.
I will do better. Please, help me take it down. I'm so sorry. I'm begging you.
With a calm and composed demeanor, I looked him in the eyes and said, Ted, your tears and apologies won't change the past. The trust is broken, and I can't return to a life built on lies. His desperate attempts to win me back fueled my determination to move on. I deserved better than a man who treated me disrespectfully and disregardfully. I realized I didn't need his validation or love to be whole. His actions did not define my worth, and I had finally found the strength to stand on my own. As the truth about Ted's infidelity spread like wildfire on social media, his once charmed life began to crumble before everyone's eyes. The shame and humiliation he felt were palpable, and he was desperate to salvage what was left of his reputation. But this time, I wouldn't let him off the hook. And yet again, Ted sent me countless messages and calls and even showed up at my doorstep, tears streaming down his face as he begged for forgiveness. It just never stops. He claimed he had made a terrible mistake and still loved me. Part of me wanted to believe his words, to take him back and pretend that none of this had ever happened. But deep down, I knew I deserved better. I looked into his eyes, once filled with charm and charisma, and saw a man who had lost himself in a web of lies. He continued to beg, trying to manipulate my emotions, but I saw through his act. I had learned that his words were empty and his promises were were meaningless. I had given him chances before, hoping he would change, but he had repeatedly proven that he was incapable of true love and commitment. As much as I once loved him, I had to put myself first and prioritize my well-being. I couldn't let him drag me down any longer. My heart ached. But I knew walking away was the only path to healing. His humiliation resulted from his actions, and I couldn't allow myself to feel sorry for him. He had caused me immeasurable pain, and now he had to face the consequences. It was time for him to confront the reality of his choices and the hurt he had inflicted not just on me, but also on our children. I focused on my healing, surrounded by a robust support system of friends and family who had lifted me when I needed it the most. I embraced my newfound independence and pursued my passions with a renewed sense of purpose. My children witnessed my strength and courage, learning invaluable lessons about resilience, forgiveness, and the importance of self-love. My decision to leave a toxic relationship and rebuild my life on my terms became an enduring legacy for my family, and so my story became one of triumph over adversity, of finding strength amid heartbreak, and of emerging from the darkness with a newfound light. Ted's action had caused pain, but my resilience turned that pain into a catalyst for growth and transformation. I proved that the most satisfying revenge isn't about inflicting pain on others, but rising above the hurt and becoming a better version of oneself. As the days passed, I focused on rebuilding my life and rediscovering my worth. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and family who reminded me of my strength and resilience. Slowly, the pain started to fade, and I began to find happiness within myself, independent of any relationship. Seeing me move forward and thrive without him only intensified Ted's shame. He had lost control over me, and it was clear that he could no longer manipulate me as he once had. The power dynamic had shifted, and I was now in charge of my life. Realizing that he had lost his wife and reputation weighed heavily on him. The embarrassment of his actions followed him wherever he went, a constant reminder of the consequences of his betrayal. As much as I wanted to see him suffer, I chose not to dwell on his misery. Instead, I channeled my energy into creating a fulfilling life for myself and my children. I focused on my passions, career, and what brought me joy. In time, Ted's presence in my life became a distant memory. I had found closure in knowing that I had stood firm in the face of adversity and had refused to let his actions define me. I had turned the tables on him, and in doing so, I had found my empowerment. My story became one of triumph over heartbreak, of finding inner strength, and of discovering the beauty of self-love. I learned that actual revenge isn't about seeking to humiliate others, but about rising above the pain and becoming a stronger person. And as I moved forward, I knew I was no longer defined by the hurt Ted had caused me. I was Yana, a woman who had weathered the storm and emerged more vital than ever, ready to embrace whatever life had in store for me.